So it's DevLearn, still day -1, so we still haven't hit the conference in earnest yet, but my goodness, based on the conversations that I've had today just at the registration desk, we're in for a bit of a treat over the next few days, I think. And the reason why I wanted to just quickly share with you some thoughts from the end of the day is really back on this theme of communities. And for me, that's really played out this evening. I met up with Brent Schenkler, Mark Shepherd, and Tom Spiglianin, all of whom you may well know, obviously very active in the learning scene. But I never actually met any of them face to face. Obviously, I've done work with Brent on Learning Now TV before, but none of us have ever met in person. And I certainly hadn't met Mark or Tom. But because we had this shared sense of community purpose, because we did know of each other's work and we had connected online previously, it meant that this evening I enjoyed a really great burger and beers with the guys, and the conversation flowed very easily, and we were able to discuss key issues, learning and otherwise, that without that opportunity to connect online and really make the most of our communities, would have been trickier, there's no doubt about it. And that's really the big shift that happens at events like these days because of the power of communities. And I think that's a really important point to reflect on when we're thinking about learning in our organisations. It's about being able to make those connections beforehand so that the time that you spend is time well spent. And the reason why I wanted to raise that again and really drive the point home is that when you're designing learning, when you're thinking about those opportunities for face-to-face where you can really take a deep dive with the subject and explore it in detail, having already shared and got insights online, it means that those opportunities are so much more valuable. And what it brought to mind for me was that today has been a lot about XAPI. It's been a lot of very intensive work with instructional designers on getting to grips with some new authoring techniques. And of course, for learning technologists, then looking at the opportunities that things like XAPI have. And although all those things are incredibly important to drive our industry forward, we mustn't forget that of course, we don't live in a bubble. This is about delivering learning that matters to people and matters to people in their context. And that's something that Tom and I were discussing over a drink earlier, is that importance for context, for understanding where your people are and the small but significant changes that you can make. And one of those small and significant changes that you may be able to make in your organisation is helping people understand the value of some of the tools that they already have. And what I mean by tools they already have is that many of your people may well be quite comfortable with using social tools such as Twitter, LinkedIn, Facebook, etc. And getting them to reflect on the way in which they use them and the value that they get from them, and the way in which they are able to collaborate, solve problems, find out answers to key questions, is a really interesting reflection point to think about, well, what does good and realistic learning look like in our organisations today? So when you are commissioning and developing a new programme, think about the ways in which people may well access that information already, the way in which they'll want to put that together and think about how they can turn it into something experiential, the types of questions that they may well ask peers. And you can use that to inform a learning design and the creation of a learning environment that is much more suited to their context. And it helps then to drive through the behaviours of things like working out loud, where people are then more inclined to start to share some of the work they're doing, share case studies, share insights, make themselves available as mentors to support others, take part in a peer assist. Because we can reflect back on the value that we have in our lives generally from being better connected, just as I was this evening, that can then play out in your organisations and really supercharge your learning. So that was day -1. So let's see what the next few days have to bring, and I'll be back here soon.